Beats Productions. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats. Daily Beats Productions. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats. Daily Beats Productions. Daily Beats Productions. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats. Daily Beats Productions. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats.
Hi, welcome to another live stream here at Daily Beats, and this is another producer show. And welcome. I already have here some chat conversations with Froggy, I guess. So I just wanted to say, if you have any questions about music production, first of all, welcome to the live stream, and I'm glad you could join us. And if you have any questions about music production, be sure to have them here in the chat, and I will do my best to answer. So, just first announcements, I would say. I will be doing these live streams every Saturday at around 6 p.m. GMT plus 2, which is the Berlin time. And I will be doing this every single weekend. I think I will still be do I will still be do I will still do this one in the next one, so the 9th of October, and then I will be on vacations in Portugal, so until maybe for 2 weekends. So the 16 and 23 or 23rd, I will not be here doing the live streams, but I will be sure to have some videos to publish. I will be back on the 30th of October to have the next live stream. So I think that's it in terms of the announcements. If you want to have your questions, or if you want to, you can subscribe to the newsletter that I have a link in the description. And in this newsletter, you can subscribe, and I will be sending forms where you can post your questions. And those are usually the questions that I have prepared here for the live stream so that I can answer them live here. So those questions usually have higher priority. So if you put questions in the chat, sometimes I might not have enough time to answer them, but I will always do my best to answer all of the questions. I think that's it in terms of questions, or in terms of announcements. So let me see. I will be preparing my the channel here, or the posts. I will be having more posts, or I will be spreading out the posts until I come from vacation, because I will not have maybe enough videos for every single day like I'm doing so far. But there will be videos every week or every other day. I will try to have that here. So let's go ahead, and I have here a couple of questions already prepared that I think they are really cool. And some of the questions come from the newsletters, others come from some comments that I had on my YouTube channel, the comment section. You can also post questions there. That's also a good way to start. So let's see. I have here, let's start with the first one, which is how to add thumbnails to plugins. So in FL Studio, there's a way to usually, or to insert plugins faster, and that's using the plugin picker. So let me jump into FL Studio so that I can show you what I'm talking about. So here we are in FL Studio, and if you right click on for instance this plus button, you will get something like this. And this is the plugin picker. And let's say that I want, what plugin do I want? Maybe, let's see, Launch Lizard, this one here. Instead of looking for it, I could just type launch. First I have to type it correctly, and it already gave me that highlighting here. So now let's say that I want electric grand piano. So let's go electric, and it automatically gave me this selection, which is the one that is close to what I typed. And he also puts or FL Studio also puts the how can I say, puts the mouse over that one, so that I can either click here, or now I have to click and drag, and then I can put the plugin where I want, and it will load the plugin as normal. Let's see if it will load. Yes. So this is a nice way to load plugins. But as you've seen, some of the plugins have a thumbnail, some do not. So this is the way to add thumbnails to your plugins. It both works with instruments, and it will also work here with, let me delete these ones. It also works with effects. So all of what I mean is instruments and also plugins. Instruments and effects, they all are plugins. So that's what I'm trying to say, and it's not easy. So let's go here, and if I right click again, you see that I have a big list of plugins that I can select, but I don't have the thumbnails of every single plugin. So let's try to add one of the thumbnails here. So the first thing that you have to do is let's load the plugin that you want to have the thumbnail for. So I will start, for instance, with these addictive keys because it's one of the plugins that I have here right away to click. And if I close these, let's do addictive keys, you see that this is the second or the third one here, and it does not have any thumbnail. So let's now try to add a thumbnail for this. The first thing that you can do is go here, and there's this option here, add to plugin database and flag as favorite. And if I click here, now I get a message saying that, or warning message saying that please select or open the plugin database subcategory folder that describe this plugin best, then select add to plugin database again. So what you have to do is first you have to select a folder in the database, and then you can click on that option to generate a thumbnail. So to do that, let me see, I have this in third-party plugins and it's right here. So what I can do is go to third-party, and because I opened this one, and you have to see that we have now the plugin database icon selected. It could be here also with all, but it's better to use it in the plugin database because it makes our lives simpler. So now I want to select this folder here. So I either click like that, just to make sure that I have this selected. And now if I do add to plugin database and flag as favorite, okay, I did that. Let me see. I don't know why it doesn't allow me to have that there. Oh, that's strange. It should allow me to have that. Let me see what's going on here. Because I have this one selected, it should allow me to add this. That's strange. Let me try, because I tried this with other plugin and it worked. So let's try with installed here. Let's go to generators. No, that should not be. It should be here, generators, third party, and it should be, okay, let me add from here to here, and let's select this folder. Let's do that again. That's strange. Let me try with a different plugin, for instance, in the effects section. So what I can do, let's say that I have here this, I have already for fidelity Q, but let me do for split enhancer. So let's do the same thing, and it will ask me to open a folder. So I can select this folder here. As you can see, I already did for fidelity Q and it worked. So let's do this again. And you see now split enhancer will be added to this subcategory, daily beats. And I click OK. And now you see that now I have a split enhancer image there. So now if I go, for instance, to the picker, I have this one here, and I also have split enhancer with the image of my plugin. So I found this a little bit strange why it did not work with this one. So let me try again the same process, and let's delete this one, and let's go, for instance, to generators, and let's use third party. Let's add the plugin again. Could be that I have this subfolder there. Could that be the issue? Maybe. Let's see. Okay, so now I want to have this one selected. Yeah, looks like it will not allow me to do that. Let's try with air. Let's try with one of these ones here. Let's go, for instance, with expand. And let's try that again. So I want to select this folder here. And expand was added. So as you can see, this was the way to do it. I don't know, maybe there's some issues there because it has a subfolder. I'm not quite sure. Let me try with Sampler, for instance. Okay, and now I want to use this one here, third party, and let's add this one. Yeah, I think it's because there's a subfolder there and probably is not allowing to have this one here. Let me try with this one. So this one was added, as you can see, but so it added the same one here. So it's 2 instances. So now I have to go here. Let's do open and let's take this out. And now I only have one. Let me try again, for instance, with the drum 2. And let's select, I think it's because there's a folder there. It's not allowing me to do this. Oops, let's here do add to plugin database. Okay. And select this folder. I think that's it. There might be a bug because if it has a subfolder, it's probably why it's not working. Let me, not this one. Let me open up again this one here, open. And let's try to remove this folder and put it in a different position. Okay, so now we have a section here for this one. So let's select third party. Let's do this now again. And now it added. So there's probably a bug somewhere here in FL Studio that does not allow to add plugins database if you have a folder inside a folder. So yeah, it's something for ImageLine to fix. Probably I will post in the comments this bug, but as you can see, you can go around it by removing the folder, and now we can go back. So let's say that I did all of this for all the plugins, and I can now go back, for instance, for the emulation and put it again in my third party, and now I have all the plugins here, even with the entire structure that I had before, and now they all have the thumbnails. So this is a quick and easy fix. As you can see, now we have the thumbnails there. And if I go to find this one here, KV1 or K1V, there's also a thumbnail there. So this is a cool way to add more interest to your plugin picker here. If you use plugin picker a lot, probably this could help you to find the plugins that you want a little bit better, and just helps to add some visual interest to your plugin picker, both here in instruments or here in the effect section. And of course, you can see there's a bunch of them. So sometimes having the image, it's really helpful. And yeah, I think that's it for this question. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. If you have any questions about music production, just let me know in the chat and I will do my best to answer them, because the idea of this live stream is to help you guys accelerate your learning curve so that I can help you be better producers faster. Okay, so question number 1 is done. And let's go to question number 2, which is how to use mid-side EQ for mastering. So this is a tool that I really enjoy, mid-side EQ. And you can, I think I have a video, I know that I have a video about how to do mid-side EQ, how to create that with Patcher. And it's a very simple way to do it. And it's a simple thing that you can save in your Patcher presets, and you can just quickly load. But now let me give you an example, a concrete example on how I use this for instance, for mastering. So let's go here to FL Studio, and how can I do this here? And now I want to show you, let me put this aside, and actually that's not what I wanted. This one neither. Let's see if I can find the correct folder. No. Okay, this one here will serve. So if I go, for instance, to the last bit that I had, that I posted in my YouTube channel, I usually have a a mix track. And as you can see, this is Agent, the name of the beat, and it sounds like this. Okay, a cool plugin, and the mix, I think it's okay. It's not the best mix in the world, but it's not the worst also. So let's go ahead now and load Patcher here. And let's do Patcher, and let's do mid-side EQ. So I have a preset already that I use, and it gives me automatically a mid-side EQ here. Really, really simple. Oh, another thing that works really well for adding thumbnails to your plugins is that now you see the actual thumbnail here in Patcher. So if I load a plugin that didn't have a thumbnail, for instance, let me go here. What can I do? For instance, Isotope. Let's do the vinyl stuff. And you can see this is what it will add. Looks like a piece of a puzzle. And if you have this with a thumbnail, now you see the entire plugin, which is, I think, a little bit cooler. If you use a lot of Patcher, it will be a nice thing for you to go through all of your plugins and create thumbnails. But again, going back to this question, which is how to use mid-side EQ. So now I can bypass any mid or side parts. So let me first bypass the mid part. And this is what you listen when you just bypass the mid part and you just hear the side. You just have side component. And what I like to do in this case is I will be a little bit more aggressive in what I do here just to show you the power of having a mid-side EQ. And what I like to do is apply a high-pass filter just to cut the lows. So let's see before. Just cutting the lows here means that I'm freeing space for the bass to be mono, only mono. And I'm just removing all the low information from the stereo field. And I'm just leaving it as mono or as a mid side. And that's important because a lot of sound systems in bars, discos, and concerts and all these venues usually have very low end. And the better your low end or the mono it is, the better. And that's why I try to keep my low end very mono. And one thing that I can do also is apply a top shelf. And for instance, increase here. Let's listen. If I want to make it really, really intense, I could go something like this. So let's see now the before and after. And this can give a sensation of a wider mix. And because you are increasing the stereo frequencies, it makes it gives the idea that the mix is a little bit more stereo because you are actually increasing the volume of the stereo field. So let's see now the difference of the entire plugin. And one thing that you can notice is a very subtle thing, but if you focus on the frequencies, what you will see is that the sound kind of transforms itself. It's like the bass is now centered, really, really mono, and now we have a little bit more spreading in the high frequencies. And the stereo field, it sounds a little bit more stereo. It actually changes the way we perceive the track. It makes it a little bit different. So it's kind of sometimes it's hard to see if what you are doing is actually helping or not the track. You have to go by experience and you have to listen to it, maybe compare with other tracks. But what happens is that because we are bringing a lot of stereo and removing the low end in the stereo field, it's shaping the way the sound is perceived. So it's kind of a different how can I say, it's a different sound. But I think I do this in every single master that I do, because I want to usually I want to make my tracks or my low end mono, and sometimes I want to boost some of the high frequencies in the side to give it a different sonority, if that's the best word, I don't know. Looks like the mix opens up, and we have a little bit more width in the stereo field. And of course, you can do the opposite and also remove or bypass the side the side part, and just listen to the mid. And then we can also do some EQ here to boost some of the area. So let's say that now I want to add a little bit of low end to the mono part. So let's do that. I like here, so let's add a little bit here. And let's say that I want to also add, I like this part here, let's add a little bit here. And let's see here in the tops, I also like there, so let's add a boost, let's boost a little bit there. And let's see now the before and after. Okay, let's now bring the side also, and let's see everything before and after. As you can see, this was a little bit extreme for me to show, especially on the side part, just to show you what I like to do. But this is basically what I like to do. I do on the side, I do a high pass filter just to cut the low end and to make my low frequencies mono as possible. Then I even apply here some frequencies that I like. I listen to them in solo, and then I boost them or I cut them if I don't like them. If I like them, I boost them. And I can also apply here a top shelf. And then I do the opposite. I bypass the side part and I just listen to the mid part, and I do this type of checking of the frequencies. What frequency do I like? And if I like the frequencies, I boost them. If I don't like, I try to cut them to try to give a different EQ to the track. And I like to do that in the different parts, both in the stereo and in the mono. That gives me a different EQ for the different parts, which also gives a new perception of the track. And that's the thing that I like to do in this one. So I strongly recommend you start using mid-side EQ. It's a really powerful tool that we can take advantage for our mixes. And I don't use it too much when I'm doing production itself or when I'm creating a beat, but in the mastering stage I really use this a lot, and it's one of the tools that became one of the priorities in my mixing or in my mastering arsenal or flow or chain, maybe that's the best word. And I really like it because it really helps me to shape the track as I need to. And I can shape both the mid side and also the stereo side to give it a little bit more boost in the areas that need to. So I think that's it for this question. What else? So I have here, the next one is how to use Destructor. So Destructor is a plugin that we have in FL Studio. And let me change this to FL Studio. And let's load Destructor. And this is in the new section here, and we have Destructor here. Let me remove all these so that we don't have anything else. And Destructor is a modular plugin that takes distortion from a bunch of other plugins like Armor, Blood Overdrive, Soft Clipper, and also takes beat and rate reduction from delay 3. So as you can see, it's a combination of several different plugins, and it takes the best of the effects of those plugins, and also adds some filters from Flex. So the new plugin that FL Studio added a few versions ago, and also add choruses from delay 3 and wraps all of these plugins from all the other plugins, wraps it into a single speaker cabinet using Fruity Convolver. So this is a lot of stuff to take in. So what they are doing is taking bits and pieces of other plugins that they developed, and they are bringing everything here and combining it into a speaker cabinet. So this is kind of working like a speaker cabinet, like an amplifier cabinet maybe, and it's all using Convolver, or the algorithm for Convolver. I have other other videos explaining what convolution is and how powerful it is in your track. So this is a very powerful plugin that allows us to have a bunch of options. So let's go here for the empty section. So basically we have 4 different sections for this plugin. We have here the levels that we can see the input of every single plugin, or the stage gain of every single chain here. And then we have here this plus button that we can add. We have 4 different types of things. We have distortion, plugin, filter, chorus, and speaker. So let's start with distortion. Like I told you, this takes distortion from different plugins like Armor, Blood Overdrive, Fast Distortion, Soft Clipper, stuff like that. And we will have a bunch of options here. As you can see, we have let's see, not this here. As you can see, we have Blood Overdrive, Fast Distortion, Soft Clipper. We have a bunch of presets from Harmor, and then we have Wave Folder, Aperture, Abrasive, Crusher. So we have a bunch of algorithms here that we can use and try to get some different things here. We can also change these from, again, filter, chorus, or speaker. Like the same options that we have here, we can have them here. Of course, this is a bypass button, and we can, of course, remove these also. And then we have the same parameters, or the parameters will change based on the plugin that we have. So if we go here, let's see the Soft Clipper, Distortion, Soft Clipper, we will have also 2 knobs as we have them here. And of course, we have oversampling. Oversampling helps us to, so let's say that the audio coming in is in 44.1 kilohertz. And if we oversampling, means that the internal processing of the plugin will be, for instance, if it's twice, it will be 48 kilohertz. If it's 3 times, 96 or 90 something, 4 times, and so on. So you have to do the math, or 120, something like that. I don't know the sampling frequencies by memory. I just know 48, 96, 128, and 44.1. Maybe there's more, but yeah. So you can oversample by a factor of up to 16 times, and this will really help with some aliasing. If you feel that you have some aliasing in your sounds and doesn't sound very good, you can oversample, but this will also increase the CPU load, so you have to be careful with this one. As you can see, if I put this at twice, my CPU is at 1, but if I increase this, it jumps to 3. And of course, the more you have, the higher CPU processing it will take. So yeah, then we have here to remove some DC offset that we might have. And of course, we can control the input, output, and the mix of this effect here. So basically what we have is a bunch of, in terms of distortion, we have some parts of every single plugin that we can have here. And it's really a nice way to have these more centralized, and we can combine different distortions. So let's say that I liked some Armor distortion and I want to add that into a specific sound or audio clip or whatever, I can just click and use Destructor to just use that. And if I want to combine several distortions, I can do that. So let's see now the option for the filters. And as you can see, we have also a bunch of filters here that we can take advantage of. I'm not going to every single filter, but you can see that you will have different parameters for every different types of filters. And as you can see, maybe we go from 1 or 2. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, from 1 or 2 and 1 or 2 knobs. And basically this low pass is just a cutoff frequency. This helps with if you have some distortion or some filters or some effects that you need to filter. This is also a good tool for that. Then we have choruses. And here we have 3 options: wide, mono, and stereo. And I don't know, I don't want to go into every single detail of the chorus. But again, this use some, this is the same preset or the same filter type from, in this case, is delay 3. Here we have some, I think it's this one, chorus from delay 3. Should be some chorusing here that we can add here. And yeah, that's what we have here. And then we can also have speaker, which is kind of like a cabinet preset using convolution, as you can see. And we have a bunch of them here that sound really, really cool. So I think that's it for this plugin. It's a really cool plugin that allows you to have some different effects. And if we see here the presets, there's a bunch of presets that we can choose from. And we can have stuff for guitars, we can have filters and distortion, different types of distortion that we might not be able to do with a normal distortion plugin with FL Studio ones. So I think that's it. I hope this was helpful. Let's jump to the next question. And this one is a nice question, also from a new plugin that we had recently in FL Studio, which is the new tone. I think is new time. So one of the things that I think FL Studio lacks a little bit is these audio manipulation tools. Because if you want to stretch and do some time alignment in your samples, it's really hard to do in FL Studio. And I still think it's not the best way to do it, because you are jumping between tools to do different things, but it's also a matter of workflow. So if you get the workflow right, you will be able to do this without even thinking about it, or internalize this and be able to do it. But it's kind of a pain, a little bit of a pain. For instance, I'm comparing with Ableton Live. Live is really nice for time alignment of loops. You just open up the editor or double click on the sample and you will have the editor, and then you can manipulate different, you can add markers and manipulate the markers, and you can change the timing of your samples a little bit better. And it's all included or built into the tool. In FL Studio, we have to have extra tools to do that, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, so let's go into FL Studio. Sorry, just a small break to drink some water. So let's open up here a sample. By the way, let's do... let me show you first how I would do this before, and then we can choose, or I can show you how to do that after. So let's see that we have here some drum loops, and let's use the breaker one. It's a classic loop from FL Studio. Let's put this to 100, stretch this out. So let's say that we have this loop here. Let me make this bigger, and let me also bring the volume down a little bit. If we look here and if we put this in step mode, we see that the loop is quite aligned in terms of, we have these swing stuff, but it's quite aligned. But let's say that I want to add, that I wanted to change for instance, this kick here. And instead of having this kick here, I wanted to have here. So how I would do it, I would just cut this one here, like so. And I would probably move this here, something like that. But then I would have this type of stop there. So what I would do is I would make this unique, and then I would stretch this out like so. And maybe I could, for instance, put on E3 generic to keep the same tonality, but it will not be perfect. And maybe this was not the best option because we have this here a little bit off timing, so it didn't help too much. Let me see, for instance, here in this one, how I would do this. I would do this here. We take out the stretch, and I could stretch this one out. So I would have to do make unique and stretch this one out. And let's do E3 generic. So this one didn't work that well. So let me put this back into the place it was. But this one worked a little bit better. As you can see, this one sounds a little bit more like the original sound, but with the new timing structure. But as you've seen, I had to create make unique. And if I go now to my channel rack, I have 1, 2, and 3 copies of the same loop with different timings. As you can see, let me open this one. So we have 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times. And they are all different. So you would create unnecessary copies of the same file. So the way to do it now with the extra tool that we have is using new time. And if we go here to new and we open up new time, we can go here and we can just bring up the sample, and it analyzed the sample. And as you can see now, the sample before it was in only 2 bars, but now it's 1, 2, 3 and something bars. So what we have to do is click here, and you see now the arrows for left and right. So click here and not here. How can I drag everything? Let me see. There's probably an option to do this. Oops, not like that. Let me select everything. Okay, so now that's it. So you can select all of the loop and then move it to where you need it. It will select, or it will move everything around. So now if I look at this, it should be in time. It's actually not in time, entirely in time. I don't know why. It should sync the same tempo. Okay, so we had there and it was not synced. So let me do this again. How do I clean this one here? Let me see. Let's see, preset. No, let me do this again. I don't use this tool a lot, so that's why I need some time also to check this out. So let's do here. Let's put this. Let's bring the loop. And let's put this in sync. And now we have everything in time. So that's it. Okay. So let's select these. Let's make a loop. Okay. So now we have a loop. And to do what I did before, you just go here, click on this part here, and then you just move this one. But you can see it's a little bit different. So it sounds different than the other one. So it has also some drawbacks where you don't, how can I say, it's not entirely the same thing. So it also changes the pitch here. And let's see, I can also click on Alt, and now I have control to have it a little bit more swing. So let's see now if I bring this into the playlist, if it would sound better in the playlist rather than here. So I actually prefer the other way I did it. Sounds way better, but this one is basically the way to do it. And you might have some samples that are not entirely on time, and you can adjust them using the new tone and this, or new time, sorry. This is a great tool to help you set up some of the loops or change some of the timing of the loops. Might be something easy, it might be a little bit harder, but this is the way to do it, and you can do it very easily and simple, and reuse the loops or realign your loops to the tempo and make sure that the loops are a little bit thin. Another disadvantage is that if the sample is not entirely on the same time as your project, you will have to create markers by every single thing. So you probably can use, let me see if we have options here to create markers independently or automatically. I don't think so. So yeah, this tool is good, but I think it's not the easiest way to work with loops or to align loops in FL Studio. That's why I jump between DAWs. I like some features of some DAWs, and I use them for quick fixes and or even for entire features. For instance, I like to make my beats in FL Studio, but I like to mix my beats in Studio One. So that's why I do it. And if I need to align loops, I will probably do it in Ableton Live, because I think the features in Ableton Live are way better for that in terms of alignment loops. And that's what I'm saying, like in terms of aligning, it's not the easiest way to do it in FL Studio, and you have to jump between tools, and then you have to load samples, and if you need to change stuff later, you will have to load again the sample, make the change that you need, and then re-import the sound into the playlist, and you will create a new insert or a new instance or sampler here with a new sound. So it's not the most effective way, I think, but the way FL Studio is constructed is a nice, how can I say, the way the workflow works in FL Studio, I think that's the only way that they found to do that. So I think that's it for this question. I hope I answered correctly. And let's go ahead now to the last two questions. And the last question that I have here is how to pitch samples with new tone. So this is a good one. So it kind of works the same way as new time. So it's new tone is a separate tool that I use to pitch voices and to pitch sounds, and it's a really cool tool. But again, it's an extra tool in FL Studio. It kind of feels like an extra tool that you load, and then you have to re-import the sounds that you added, re-import them into your project. So it kind of feels like a third-party tool to fix something inside of your project, but nevertheless is a great tool to have in FL Studio, because I actually, when I'm mixing vocals and I need some adjustments in the vocals, that's the tool that I go for. And it's already free here in FL Studio, so that's why I like it. So let's jump into FL Studio so that I can show you this one here. So for that, I think I will use one of my loops. So let's see, I probably have here a piano pack, a piano sample pack. Let's see. No, I don't need MIDI. I need, let's go with waves. So I like this one. Let's see if I can use it right away from here. Audio editor, audio editing pitch corrector. So this will probably launch me into new tone, exactly what I was expecting. So as you can see now, if I collapse this and if I remove this, now we have all the notes from the piano here. And this is also a good way to check what notes you have in your samples, but also a good way for us to pitch change the sample. So if I play this now, okay, so it sounds nice, sounds okay as it is. But let's say now that I want to bring one of these notes here. So let's say that I want to have this note, instead of being C sharp, I want to have it in this one here, A sharp. So let's listen from the beginning. Okay, so maybe that was a little bit more aggressive. Let me put this on D sharp. And maybe change this one here for A. So that's as simple as this. And it might sound a little bit funky, but whenever you bring it into the playlist, you usually have a better sounding audio. So let's take this out and let's listen just this one here. As you can see, this is a very easy way for you to pitch your samples. If they are if it's not exactly the note that you want, you might go here to new tone and pitch this up or down and change the note to match what you need. So this could be a nice way to change the sounds that you want. If you need, like, if you have a sound that you really like to use, but it's has one of the notes is not in the scale that you want, you might open up new tone and change that note to a different note that is in the scale or the notes that you are using in your project, and then you have that quick fix to match the sample into the notes that you want. And this is very, very easy to do with new tone, and it creates a file whenever you bring it into here, or it can also create MIDI. So let's say that you are checking a sample and you don't know exactly the notes that you are using. You can just load this into new tone and then just export the notes. So let's do that here. Let's go, for instance, let's go to Addictive Keys and let's load these notes into Addictive Keys. So let's click here. Let's see. No, this is sent to playlist. What I want is not this one, is this one here. Maybe this one. Okay, so now we are talking about. And the thing of this one, you can drag and drop to different things or send to the playlist automatically. Let's delete this one. And now let's listen to this one. And of course, you will have these crazy extra notes, but you can quickly fix this. Let's do that. Let's clear some of these notes, extend these just to make sure that they are the way they were before. And of course, you have all these extra notes that you probably have to clean, but it will most definitely help you to get an idea of what your sample looks like in terms of notes. And of course, the timing here is a little bit messed up because we are using 140 and the sample was not in 140. But as you can see, this is a great tool for you to either change the sample that you want, check the notes of the sample that you are working with so that you can add extra instrumentation to the sample or adding a bass or stuff like that. And you can also get the notes from the piano, from the sample that you are using to make your own melody on top of that. So I think that's this is one of the things that I really like about FL Studio, is that it provides us with a lot of tools for sampling and to get the notes that we have and to change the notes of the samples. Again, some of the other tools might do this, other DAWs might do this a little bit differently, easier or harder. It depends on the workflow, but this is how to do it in FL Studio. Okay. Let's go to the last question here. And this is a good one. It's regarding detachable windows. So it took me a while to figure this out. I needed to, and basically the question is how to have FL Studio in separate windows. So let's jump into FL Studio. And as you can see, we have 5 different windows that are very important in FL Studio. First one is the playlist. Then we have the piano roll. We have the channel rack. We have the mixer. And then we have the browser. The browser, you cannot change it from this side here. The browser will always be on the left side. But you can, you can rearrange the playlist and you can rearrange these windows. So let's say that I want to have a playlist and a mixer side by side. In this case, one on the top and one on the bottom. And I could probably do the opposite. I could have something like this. Let's do this and put the playlist maybe on this side, like so, and have the channel rack here, like that, and maybe add. Can I bring the channel rack? I don't think so. Yeah, and maybe having the piano roll on this side. I'm messing up my normal windows, but whatever. As you can see, we could have all these organized differently and have all the windows. But let's say that you have multiple desktops, multiple monitor setup, like I do have. I have 2 monitors, one on this side and one on the left side. And let's say that I want to bring this window to my left side. And if you can't see, but I cannot bring this window out of FL Studio. The way to do it, and even here, so if I try to bring this up to the top here, I can't. It always limits by this window here. So this canvas of FL Studio is what is limiting me to move the window. But there's a way to unlock this, and the way to do it is by detaching the window. And if I go here to the triangle and I use detached, you see that the window didn't change. So it's the same. It looks the same. But now if I move this up, you see that now it's on top of everything. And now if I maximize this, it even goes outside of the normal FL Studio top bar here. So this is the way for you to have your windows, to float them. And if I bring this out to the next window, you see that it disappeared. You probably cannot see it, but you have to take my word for it. You can move things around and you can have them. You can detach and undetach all of the windows. One issue that you might find when doing detachable windows is that sometimes, let's say that I have this one, but I know I want to select the piano roll. The piano roll will always be on the bottom. So that's the downside of this. Also, you have to detach or detach this, and then you can switch between them. But you have one that is not detached, like for instance this one, and you have one that is detached. These will always stay on top of the other ones. And this also, it's a little bit harder when you are dealing with plugins. So let me put these right there, and let me extend my mixer. You can do that also with plugins. So let's do addictive keys, and you see that my plugins are detached by default. And if I go here, you see detached. And now I can't go to the top. And if I detached, I can move them to the top. So the problem with this one is that sometimes you might lose focus on your project. So let's say that I'm here. If I hit play, in this case, it works. But in some cases, you might lose focus. You might hit play and it plays something inside of the plugin and not the play button here in FL Studio. So you might find sometimes that is inconvenient to have your plugins detached, but at the same time is one of the things that I like, because I have two monitors. I like to have all my plugins, or I like to move my plugins around to have some space to work here and maybe change some of the configurations of the plugins and still be able to edit my project on the go. Not on the go, but in one window, and have other stuff in the second window. The way to have all of your plugins detached by default is you go to Options, General Settings, and this here there's an option that says Detach All Plugins. And I have this set up because, again, I told you that I like to have all my plugins detachable or detached when I load them. But if I remove this one, and if I now load a plugin, the same plugin that I loaded before, you see that is not detached by default. So I have to manually detach it like so that I can move it around and change the window preferences. I don't know if that's the correct word, but yeah. So now let's undetach this. Let's close. And again, here I prefer to have this detached, because if I need, I can, most of the time I'm okay with having them detached, but sometimes I might find some issues, and what I do, I just undetach or do not detached, and it will work as I'm expecting to work. So this is the tip. It's good to know how to detach and undetach windows, because that if you have a dual monitor setup, that's really helpful, because it will allow you to improve your performance and your pro efficiency in FL Studio or any other DAW or any other software for that matter. And because you have more real estate to move things around, that you might be able to have in one window your FL Studio DAW, and for instance in the next window you might have the playlist and the mixer all together, and you still have time or enough space to have it the other window to have more stuff. So that's why I like to have this dual monitor setup, and that's why I like to use this detached property to move things around. And I think that's it, guys. It's almost 1 hour or more than 1 hour of this live stream. And again, I would like to thank all of you that joined the live stream and are watching this right now. And again, I will be doing these live streams every Saturday at around 6 p.m. GMT +2, which is the Berlin time. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat. I will do my best to answer them. And you can also subscribe to the newsletter, where I will be sending you emails with the forms where you can post your questions, and I will do my best to answer them here. The newsletter will not have any product material, will be just or marketing material, will be just information about the live stream. And yeah, I think that's it, guys. I really enjoyed this one. And yeah, there's nothing too much to say. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your interaction, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.